the heck are these things?
And why are there 5 of them?
The goal was to prevent homeless from sleeping under this bridge. Instead, it backlashed with outrage from the town.
Armrests in the middle of benches to large rocks added underneath bridges. Homeless advocates call these designs hostile architecture or anti-homeless.
In London and Paris, you see spikes on windowsills. In D.C., a curved bench.
Hostile architecture is when cities put features in the architecture to try to keep homeless people away.
Spikes that would hurt people seemed like a bad idea.
So this looks like a metal covering for the subway vent, which is underneath it. At first I thought it was a bench, but you can really only sit on this corner of it. You'll notice that the top of this is incredibly uneven, and then there's these raised ridges which are on all 5 of them. And what happens if you try to lay down on it? Is that even possible? Oh, that is like the most uncomfortable thing I've ever experienced. This ridge right here is going into my spine, and that's on purpose, and this is called hostile architecture. And critics of hostile architecture say that usually these types of installations are cruel and unnecessary because they target the needy. And we're gonna look at a whole bunch of examples of this. Subway benches that serve no purpose, a train station designed to make you go crazy, and several parks that look nice, but were designed to be so uncomfortable that you'll leave after 5 or 10 minutes, and they're all here in New York. Now, hostile or defensive architecture consists of public installations like this, which are designed to do one thing while preventing another thing. This right here is a normal uncovered subway grate, and in the wintertime when it's cold out, someone with nowhere to go might want to use an area like this to help keep warm because warm air comes out of here. And right now, New York City is experiencing record homelessness. And lately, both private developers and the city have been building all sorts of things like this, but they've got to be really sneaky about it, because when I found out what these were, it made me pretty uncomfortable to realize that they were specifically designed to stop people who have nothing from staying warm in the wintertime. Is that okay? And sometimes when cities build stuff like this, people find out and get really upset. And that's what happened 2 years ago when the city started introducing hostile architecture to the subway system. This is the 23rd Street and 6th Avenue subway stop, and it looks like a normal subway station, but it was the site of heated controversy when the city subway, the MTA, introduced hostile architecture to this station. A couple years ago, riders noticed that the benches in this very same platform were suddenly removed. And as you can imagine, people were not happy about that. Not only because of how cruel it might seem towards certain individuals, but also because the elderly, people who are pregnant, there's other people that need benches in the subway too, and this was a quality of life hit for everybody on this platform. And the benches were originally along this wall, and look at what the replacement is. Is this even a replacement? I mean, you can lean on it. I guess this is better than leaning yourself against the wall, which might be dirty. It has spots for 4 leaners. Now, there are 2 benches in this platform, which were put back after the city realized that their decision had outraged people. But even these have elements of hostile architecture in them. Look at these armrests. All you can do is sit here. You can't lay down. This is only like 2 feet wide. Its only purpose is for sitting. It is hostile to any other intended use. Look, you can't even be that wide in here. Some people even suggest...
Why are you using the word hostile? I like the other one better. Defensive infrastructure. I like it.
The city had violated the Americans with Disabilities Act by removing the benches. And this isn't the first time the city had done something like this. Check this out. A year earlier, the city had removed all of the seat backs from the benches on a subway station just a couple blocks south of this one. The city claims that once they did that, they saw a reduction in the number of people loitering on the platform, along with an increase in the number of passengers who were on the platform waiting for trains. But by removing the seat backs from the benches that were already there, they essentially did exactly what this is by creating something that's...
So they removed the seat backs and just used the seat back on the wall. I said, well, we got all these backs of seats and we have nowhere to put them. So now we're just going to put them with some sticks against the wall. So we gave them back their seat backs.
less functional and lowers everyone's quality of use when they're in the subway.
And I'm noticing that this is a trend because look at all the people standing with nowhere to sit. You see these concrete patches right here? There was something here. It was probably a bench. It looks to be about that wide. There's one other over here by the door, and there are no benches anywhere else. Just one more spot to lean right over there.
And before we look at how the city is using these same type of designs at a brand new train station and a bunch of public parks, it's important to understand that this is exposing the dark side of this type of architecture because there might be benefits as far as
What do you mean exposing the dark side? Yo.
the orderliness of the subway system is concerned. But New York City gets pretty cold in the wintertime, and the subway is a place where needy New Yorkers go when they have nowhere else to go so that they don't freeze. And yes, the city has shelters, but they have a rather poor reputation. And because of New York's asylum crisis, the shelter system's already maxed out. And since the shelters are perceived as being dangerous, it makes tons of sense that people would rather take their chances in a place like this.
Shelters are dangerous.
And removing subway benches doesn't do anything to make people less homeless. They're still homeless, even if you remove the benches, and they've still got nowhere to go. And most critics of these types of policies, they want a clean subway too, but they don't really think it's fair to take from people who already have so little. And the city's subsequent removal of benches here
Let's talk about. Oh God, I almost don't want to continue because this is irritating me greatly.
and reinstallation of different benches that basically let the city know that if they're gonna do stuff like this, they've got to be sneakier about it, and they have been.
Use the argument and said this is for obese people. It's better to stand and be on your feet than it is to be sitting down and take the weight off. Now, if you have some type of health element, I'll talk about the homeless thing in a moment, but you're going to get less obese people if you have less sitting. Take that from an obese guy.
Isn't that wild? This is a pretty impressive train station, but there are some serious problems with it that we'll get into. But first, it's important to understand that many aspects of this design and other hostile designs are nice. Nice to look at, not necessarily nice to use.
But this is called the Moynihan Trail, and it is the newest train station in New York City. Building it cost over $1 billion, and it was completed just a couple of years ago.
It also has this gorgeous glass ceiling, which is a throwback to Penn Station's original design. Penn Station is where Madison Square Garden is. That's directly across the street.
And this is what that used to look like. And as far as train stations go, this is pretty nice. Look, there's a full Walgreens in here. There's an eatery with a bunch of restaurants, the ticketing areas. Everything here's gorgeous.
But there's one glaring flaw. And no, it's not that fixing the expensive glass roof is something that takes a while and is hard to do. Look at the size of that cherry picker they got right there. Do you see the problem?
That's not a... Isn't a cherry picker what you use to remove an engine out of a car? I've never heard of that being called the cherry picker. Yeah, that's like a lift. A cherry picker. Okay. Tell us you aren't a real man without saying you aren't a real man. That's a U-Haul truck. Yup. That is what that is. Okay. That's great. But guess what, Shrek? This guy's not from UK. So that is not a cherry picker. Matter of fact, I'm here to educate. Cherry picker is designed... No, I guess in New York, they call them cherry pickers. This is what I know to be a cherry picker. This, I have never heard. Okay, well, we are all wrong. All I'm saying is, again, tell me you're not from New York. Wait, tell me you're not from New York by telling me you're not from New York. Watch this. This isn't a cherry picker. There we go.
No seats.
And that's why every single person in this billion-dollar terminal is standing. And it's a train station. The only thing there is to do here is wait for things to happen, not a
God forbid you gotta wait, man. God forbid you gotta go wait. And
seat in the whole place. Do you think they should put some bench?
you got luggage, right? You got a suitcase or something? Yeah? You got something that's got wheels that you're moving from one place to the other? You got a backpack or, I don't know, you could stuff some memory foam in that and sit on that. You don't like that? I guess you're fucking standing.
Benches in here so people have a place to sit?
That's a great idea.
It is, right?
That is a great idea.
Did you know they spent over $1 billion making this and they didn't put benches?
Not a single bench. I mean, they have those.
I could see if he was disabled, right? I could see if he had fibromyalgia or fucked up spine or MS or, I don't know. You want to sit? Go get a wheelchair. No matter where you go, you'll always have a seat. Get a mobility scooter. You'll always be sitting. Problem solved.
Lounges over there, but that's for people that have tickets.
Yeah, you gotta pay.
Yeah.
Like Spirit Airlines.
Right.
Oh, you want a seat? You gotta pay. Now,
Hey, that's a great idea for people like you. For people like you that want free seats. What's next? You want free lemonade? You want free cookie while you wait? Well, what else? You want free hot dog?
having no benches could be a ploy from these corporations to get you to go inside and spend money. And it seems to be working. There's a lot of people over here. But the lack of seating is a deliberately hostile choice.
It's not a hostile choice. What the fuck are we talking about right now? Because you don't have a seat? Yo, I'm not going to lie to you, okay? Look, I'm a fat piece of shit. I'll put that out on paper right now. I am a fat hoopty. When I go somewhere, like when we went to the flea market, we walked around for 3.5 hours. Could I use a seat? Absolutely. Was I complaining that there wasn't any? Nope. You know why? Because I don't expect a seat. What did they do in the 20s and 30s? There were no benches. Maybe like in a major city or something. But if you go back to your roots, I'm sure you'd find no benches. But at the same time, I'm sure you also had less homeless people. See, now when you go to the mall, I could see there being a spot to sit down because you have to eat. If you're just there, you're taking up space. You're not buying anything. So, you ever go somewhere and they say you can't piss or shit in our bathroom unless you buy something? Technically, that's illegal. I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade, but as a business, you cannot do that. It's either on limits or it's off limits. You can't say you must be a customer to use the bathroom because then it is a paid bathroom. You can't do that. I'm just telling you that you can't do that. There are certain towns that allow you to do that if you have somebody on staff to clean it, but you can't just say you must buy something. I won't get into that. You just can't do that. But this is a subliminal way of saying, hey, you have nowhere to sit, walk around, call somebody on a payphone.
People just plop their stuff down on the floor. And if you're wondering why nobody's trying to sit on the floor, that's because security will find you and make you stand up.
Good. I like it. I like it.
And to be fair, this old image of Penn Station, look, I see some seats down here at the bottom, so maybe there were more seats there than there are here in its reimagination. But, you know, the old station is mostly open space, and what that could mean is that open space is a great Spartan design for a public train station in New York City. And, you know, the way to answer that is to go across the street to the ugliest building in town, which is also a train station. Look at that. It's the same deal. 1 hour limit, and you got to have a ticket to get into the waiting area. And everyone else in this beautiful piece of New York City architecture is standing or walking.
Who gives a shit?
I love the 1970s aluminum ceiling. The floor reminds me of my elementary school. And look at this. These are those crazy old school drop tile ceilings. Now, this certainly isn't modern, new, or fancy by any stretch of the imagination, but it's eerily similar to what's across the street because all this open space with no seats, that's hostile architecture. At least the new monitors are bright, but this is another design where absolutely nothing about it is meant to be comfortable. Luckily, there are seats inside some of the little restaurants over here.
Yeah, because you gotta fucking sit down to eat. But even then, anybody here been to the Jersey Shore? Been to Venice Beach, California. I'll go across the globe. I don't give a shit. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm going to go to any shore point, any. When you go to these places, and let's just say that there's no benches or seats on the inside. On the boardwalk, there are benches. There are. 99% of the time, depending on the time of the year when you go, those benches will be full. I have no problem at all. Matter of fact, I think I have streams on my YouTube channel of me in Wildwood. I don't mind standing and eating. Matter of fact, I prefer it. I prefer to go to Snow White Roast Beef in Wildwood and stand and eat or walk and eat. Now, some people, like Brie, she can't walk and eat. She can't even walk and look down, right? She's got to be super focused and going forward. Otherwise, she'll fall into the sand and then drown in her own saliva. So, but that's why the state gives me extra money to walk around and hold her hand because she is mentally incapacitated. But that's fine. I can accept that. But I'll teach her one day how to stand and eat at the same time. Now, if you go to a place to where you buy food, you would think that they would have some type of ornamental, furniture-esque type of interior. And then you could sit on a bench. You could sit on a chair because you bought food. When you go on a train now, you might have a fantastic argument, Cash Jordan, if you go into a train and there's nowhere to sit. However, I also would not have a problem with that. Do you know why? Probably because of wherever you're going to when you work, you're going to be sitting down all day. The little bit of standing that you're going to do on your way to work, on your way to Amtrak or through the subway, is it really that bad that you're standing? I could see if you had a problem with cockroaches, you sit down and a cockroach goes up your panties and tickles your testicles. I could see that being an issue. I can't see it being an issue that you go into a building and there's nowhere to sit. The reason is for homeless. We'll go over that, though. We're not there yet.
Which she'll be paying for. And look at this, the wall is even roped off for some reason. Maybe it's because they've got this fancy tile and this artwork on it, and they don't want...
Would you rather it be graffiti and just brick wall?
People who have nowhere to sit leaning on it. But back in
That face. Oh, you privileged prick. I want to... Oh, God.
2020, loitering in this station and in Grand Central caused economic issues for small businesses that are here paying rent. And in addition to building things in a way that is not conducive to comfort in any manner, the city stepped up security. But unfortunately, this is a 24-hour facility, and those most negatively impacted by
I feel like that's artwork.
To building things in a way that is not conducive to comfort in any manner, the city stepped up security. But unfortunately, this...
That's artwork, bro. That's not graffiti. And then this is a tree. You're going to tell me a graffiti artist came by and said, yeah, let me look at these stairs with the security and then spray paint a tree with a fountain under it and some grass? I can't.
Those most negatively impacted by hostile architectural design and policing were those who needed a place when it was cold out. But New York doesn't just limit hostile
Yeah, that's not graffiti.
architecture to the inside of buildings. Now it's on the outside as well. And no, I'm not talking about how they roped off all the steps at the post office so no one can sit here. Back in the day, you could climb the steps. There are doors over here, but now look, they got it all roped off. It's just here looking pretty.
Absolutely. I say, you know what you need to do there? Remove the steps. You know what you put there? A moat. A moat. And you fill it with whatever predatory animal you have in New York. Put a moat around the post office and add, I don't know, very hostile eagles. And like put like a cage around it or something. I don't know. Or, I don't know. Summertime, import some gators. Bring some gators from Florida. We got enough of them. Drop them in the moat. Middle of New York. Not only is it a spectator, but you can feed the gator. Feed the gator to homeless. Win-win. You're helping out an endangered species and getting rid of a problem. Win-win. Moat, homeless. Done. Next. Don't make me president. Don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it.
Very pretty. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about something way worse.
You're pissed? I'm not even in New York and I'm angry.
This isn't
You're gonna... Oh, God! I can't even make it through this whole video.
really comfortable. I can't believe whoever designed this calls this a bench and got away with it. It's actually like a barrier if you think about it.
This is the Highline Park, and it's actually a park built upon an old railway track, which means many parts of it are skinny and narrow, but it's also very long. It goes like 15 blocks.
There be some of the old train tracks right there underneath us.
There be? There be?
And I'm guessing that these barrier benches serve to move the flow of traffic down the park. And I guess they don't want big groups inside these little triangle areas. Oh, look, another awkward place to sit.
I feel like I'm a little close to the traffic here. And this is what happens if you try to lay down on it. Look, my shoulders and arms.
Why are you laying down on a bench? Why are you laying down on a bench? Are you having a baby? Do you have hemorrhoids and you need to take the weight off your ass? Why would you be in the city with all those people around and just lay on a bench when other people that actually need to sit or have problems or ailments or are tired, are old, or a woman needs to change her baby? I don't know why she needs to change her baby on the thing, but what other possibilities could a bench be for aside from laying on it? You sound like a douchebag. That's what you sound like.
Arms are falling off the side.
What a bizarre way to construct something. There's no way you're going to sit on a bench like this for very long. Maybe just long enough to eat a sweet green salad. And look at this.
A sweet green salad. Let me guess. You like avocado on toast. You're a big romaine lettuce guy. You're a vegan. You haven't had sex in 10 years. And you watch a lot of anime. That's what I get by listening to your voice and the way that you're talking down upon New Yorkers because they don't want homeless people laying on a bench in the middle of a walkway. Yes.
Geometric nightmare right here. I bet people were getting hurt on this thing. That's why they had to rope it off. You can see that these two benches are basically here to tell this traffic to go this way and have this traffic come this way. Only someone with...
Why don't you focus on what the sign says, bro? Why don't if you're going to talk about that, why don't we...
Geometric nightmare right here. I bet people were getting hurt on this thing. That's why they had to rope it off.
Yeah, I'll agree with him there. I will agree. I don't think that's a intuitive design. I mean, it is in the middle of the wall. I don't know who designed that. This part looks cool. And I would have kind of cut it off at the end of this. I wouldn't have went that far. Yeah, that's bad. I'll agree with him on that one.
You can see that these...
Yeah, that's no good. That goes out way too far.
Two benches are...
Well, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because look at this bench and look at the... yeah, I don't like that. I would have brought that out to where I would have right here and then... Why not build both ends like this? This is nice. I like this. This is nice.
Basically here to tell this traffic to go this way.
Yeah, this is no good. Oh, what about those benches, bro? You're gonna pretend like those are not there on the right? You're not gonna mention that. You're gonna talk about the small bench that this guy, yo, you're picking and choosing what you want to talk about.
Bizarre way to construct something.
This is what the definition of a liberal is, by the way. This is it. You're not gonna... What about the bench on the left? You're not gonna talk about that one that has the back? No. Why would you? Why? I'm gonna talk about the small bench that's right here. It's like a shitty salesman trying to sell you an old car with no warranty with 395,000 miles on it.
No way you're going to sit on a bench like this for very...
No, but you're going to sit on a bench on the left with the seat back.
Very long. Maybe just long enough to eat a sweet green salad. And look at this geometric nightmare right here. I bet people were getting hurt on this thing. That's why they had to rope it off. You can see that these two benches are basically here to tell this traffic to go this way and have this traffic come this way.
What are those? What are those? What is that? Those look like couches. This guy. And you got people that aren't even, I don't know if they're using it properly, but it's a two-tier bench system.
This way, only someone with a college degree could have come up with this. I know because I have a degree. Now, in spite
You have a degree in what? In what? In what? Liberal arts? In what? What do you have a degree in? Be more specific, Cash Jordan.
of how this entire
I have a degree in working at McDonald's flipping burgers.
section of the park is textbook hostile architecture.
Yeah. Textbook, yeah. Textbook.
Had to rope it off.
Textbook.
You can see that these two benches are basically here to tell this traffic to go this way and to have this traffic
Textbook.
come this.
Textbook. Bro, I can't deal with the internet. I can't do it. By the way, this has 10 million views on it.
This way, only someone with a college degree could have come up with this. I know because I have a degree. Now, in spite of how this entire section of the park is textbook hostile architecture,
It's not textbook. You know what? It's textbook safety problems. Look at the rail. Why not worry about that?
because I have a degree.
You want to bring up I'll bring up a negative based off of what you said, since you clearly don't know what you're looking at.
Now,
Here,
in
I'll
spite
do it with you.
of how this entire section of the park is textbook hostile
The railroad tracks on the right are a safety concern. Why? Well, you want me to go over this? Okay. Well, the pylons is what they're called, right? The wood steps, rail thing, majigger. You get what I'm saying. The tracks. You got kids running. It's not really flat. It's exposed. There's some type of I don't even know what that is. It looks like they tried to build into it and then they stopped. That should probably be roped off. That's an issue. Your small seating. Watch this. You complained that in a train station there was no seating. On the outside, now there's seating. Oh no. No, you didn't. No, you added seats outside? Would you have rather no seats? But according to you, there is none. We just saw a whole lounge section that is laced with a couch. It's essentially a couch. I don't even know how long that is, 60 feet of bench. But you're focusing on the Slim Jim bench.
architecture that changes in this area that opens up.
Because over here, we've got what seems to be an actual seat. This is definitely better than the awkward bench.
And I'm pretty sure the designers of this park envisioned it as an urban pathway that leads north to south along Manhattan's west side, with some areas being akin to a nature walk and others doubling as observation points. Isn't that cool? You can look down here, see the street, take in the views. It's definitely a beautiful park. If you're ever around here, you should come out here and walk on it and sit on it. And from time
I thought you can't sit. I thought sitting is the problem.
to time, they will put in very
I must have missed the first 11 minutes of this because I was under the impression that it was bad because the seating arrangements are terrible. It's like going to a wedding with 1 million people. You just got to stand. There's nowhere to sit. God forbid.
very bizarre art installations.
Like this pink tree, which probably symbolizes something.
Also of note, this is a
Maybe breast cancer awareness. I don't know. Maybe do a little research.
private park, and it does close at a certain
Nice.
point.
So it's not like Central Park where you should expect to be able to go in and leave
He's married? Ooh.
at any point you want.
Check out these hostile bleachers.
Maybe it's modern, maybe it's futuristic, but it's not exactly comfortable. And then
What do you mean it's not comfortable? What do you want? A back massager? Do you want someone to come up and shine your shoes? What? Why is that not comfortable? How tall are you? 7'5"? What? Why is that not comfortable? Why? It looks, and you call that hostile?
symbolizes something.
Also of note,
No.
this is a private park, and it does close at a certain point.
So it's not like Central Park where you should expect to be able
Okay, I don't know what that is. If that's the seat, that's that's the Temu version of a park bench. I don't know what that is.
to go in and leave at any point you want.
Check out these hostile.
How's that hostile? Look, so out of all the places he could sit on here, this is out of all the places that you could sit on here, you could have sat here, 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 here. And maybe this is for someone that wants more back support or wants to lounge a little bit more and not have a straight back. What about that? Oh, because if you said that, you'd get less views. You're targeting all the people like you that are liberal and want homeless people just to be lounging on all of this.
Style bleachers.
Yeah, why don't we talk about the landscaping on the stairs? Why don't we talk about the weeds and the crabgrass that's growing over here? Why don't you pick that shit? Why don't you get a leaf blower and start blowing this off? And then, maybe doing a new sand job, finish it up a little bit, something.
Maybe it's modern, maybe it's futuristic, but
Maybe you're a complainer.
it's not exactly comfortable.
And there's about as much legroom here as Spirit Airlines will give you. I don't think you could stay here for a very long period of time. And
That's the idea. That's it. That's the idea. You nailed it. No? Okay.
maybe that's the point. But what if a group of people went to a place that was filled with hostile architecture here in New York and tried to stay there? What would happen? That's what we're going to go find out. Welcome to Zuccotti Park, the most hostile piece of architecture we're
The most hostile. If this is hostile to you,
gonna see today. So today I'm doing hostile architecture like this, right?
disgusting.
And I think this is the most cruel park in New York because this granite gets so cold just sitting on it.
Absolutely.
Made me freeze my butt off. And
well, then don't sit on it. Oh, man. The other day I was cooking and I wanted to see how hot the flame was, so I burned my hand. I don't know. Don't touch the flame. Some will tell you.
look at how high the ridges are
Oh my God, it's the end of the world.
sticking up out of this thing. These granite tables are equally cruel and unforgiving. And look at all these nightmarish angles with like the way that this plant is. The whole thing is like designed for crowd control. But back
So, walk around it. And no offense, if it's designed for crowd control, there's no crowd. Like, there's no crowd. Maybe that park that you're in is innovation. You ever think about that? Like, maybe that's an area. Look into the signs. Talk to the people around the area. Maybe that's an area where architects that are just getting out of school are coming up with cool designs on. Maybe that's good for your back to sit on something with a rod in it. I don't know. People go to chiropractors and they essentially crack knuckles. Maybe that's good for the balls of your feet.
are equal.
I say people wearing shoes are lazy. Go barefoot. Get tetanus. Be like Dwight Schrute in The Office. Just, I welcome you to sneeze in my face. Same thing. I welcome dirty ground.
Cruel and unforgiving.
Cruel. Really?
And look at all these nightmarish angles with like the way that this plant is. The whole thing is like designed for crowd control. But back in 2011, this park was the site of the Occupy Wall Street movement where protesters camped.
He's one of those. I just had to get 13 minutes in the video to figure that out. So he's a protester. He's a picketer. Okay. All right.
With like the way that this plant is, the whole thing is like designed for crowd control. But back in 2011, this park was the site of the Occupy Wall Street movement where protesters camped out in this park for about a month. See this image right here with that red bar behind that guy? That was taken right over here. And whether you agree with their message or not, it took a lot of determination to stay in this place for more than 15 minutes. I mean, it is just a barren landscape. And yes, there are trees, but look at their position. They're only designed to eliminate crowds of people. Between these benches, these trees, and these weird plant boxes right here, it's tough to have like a mass gathering. And look at this little ridge that just kind of winds along here and goes up into the stairs. The whole thing is just, whoever built it wanted it to be here, and they wanted it to...
No. Whoever built it did not want it to be there. whoever built it was confused as to the location where they were supposed to build it. They started building and just said, we're already here. Let's just finish it.
To be looked at, and that's about it.
Also, the protesters weren't here during the summer either. They were here from mid-October until about the end of November. It gets cold at night here in New York.
Now, yes, the Occupy Wall Street movement did have significant support. There were a lot of people who donated and helped the people that were here stay here as long as they could with things like sleeping bags and food. There was even a library, and there was Wi-Fi here in the park. I'm sure there were bathrooms too, because I don't see any. Now, since 2011, the same type of mass takeover of this park hasn't happened before, and I guess these awful benches, I guess they do deter, but is that really how we want to build things? Should we build things in New York in a way that maybe doesn't lower everyone's standard of living all at the exact same time? Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.